Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another day here at Reach and Reverie. Let's take a closer look at our new gardening space. I cannot wait to show you what we're doing in today's video. In our recent videos, you guys got to see that we rented an auger to get the post holes dug for this gardening space here behind me. We also then went and cemented the post in place and got it all squared away. Josh then pounded the T-posts in between the posts. And this last week, Josh and I outsourced with some friends and a neighbor, and we had help with welding these posts together. We decided this go around to go ahead and make it a community effort, and we got this up over this past few days. And this has all been completed just in time because today is the day that we are going to stretch fence along the perimeter of this gardening space. Are you stretching? Are you getting ready? Let's go in there. Let's go in the garden. Come on, let's go. Ah, doesn't it look so good? I am so impressed with Josh and our friends, everybody's craftsmanship here. And I'm already picturing the garden growing in this space. This fence that we have built is something that we take great pride in. We want it to last. We want to do it right the first time. And done this way, this fence can easily outlive Josh and I. So we had this fence welded. And you can see this is what we call a kicker. And you can also see that we have these H posts. So we've got kickers and H posts, and that is to help support this garden fence. We are putting an 8-foot fence around our gardening space to keep animals out and to keep our vegetables safe. Where we live, we have very huge wild hogs that roam the property. This is an invasive exotic species, and they run in groups of like 15, 20, 30 hogs, and we want to keep them out of our growing space. As you could imagine, one hog that weighs several hundred pounds, how much damage they can do to a garden. Think about how much damage 20 can do to a garden in one night. We also decided to go with an 8-foot fence to keep the deer out. And the deer are very abundant in this neighborhood, as we do have neighbors that do not agree with hunting. So we want to keep our vegetable garden safe, and this is what we're doing. So we have these kickers and we have the H posts for extra stability to really keep these posts steady. It also allows you to pull your wire tighter so that you can get more tension and a better quality and more beautiful finished look. And this is our fence that we are going to be stretching today. You can see this is 8 feet. It's going to go up as tall as these posts. Some of these posts are a little bit taller than 8 foot, and we will be trimming off the tops once we get this step complete. But you can see here the bars are actually narrower at the bottom, and then they get wider as you go up, and that is supposed to help keep things out. We will also be stretching a layer of barbed wire along the bottom to help try to keep hogs from trying to root under this fence. And then we do plan on at some point also adding a line of electric probably around the base of this to keep hopefully things like raccoons and rabbits and hogs from trying to get into the fence. Are you being good? Oh, who do you see? Who do you see? She's watching the neighbors go and feed their horses. Evie, who is that? All right, let's go. Oh, we're not gonna go play. She says, I wanna go play with them. Come on, let's go. It's funny because even though this hasn't been fenced yet, I always find myself still using this front garden gate. Even when we didn't have the posts here, when it was just spray painted X's on the ground, I would still walk through the gate because it's my garden entrance, you know? On our walk this morning, as I walk Miss Evie, I did want to show you guys what Josh built. But because we're working with something that's 8 foot instead of like 6 foot or smaller, Josh went ahead and built one. I think it looks great and we can't wait to use it and see how it works. So we have our friend who does fencing regularly and is very good at fencing, and he is showing us how to do this fencing. We are keeping his face out of it. He'd like to remain anonymous, but we are absolutely soaking up all of the experience we can from him and really learning hands-on how to do this fencing for our project here.
Yeah, I think I want to get you the crimps, because this stuff's not going to want to tie like this. You're still going to have to peel, but we'll save this tie.
So instead of wrapping them like that, you'll just come through and pinch them? Holy moly!
Yeah. Welcome to my life.
It is a windy day.
Yeah. Welcome to my world. I deal with this all the time.
What we're doing today to finish off this day, Josh and I are just going to finish with a single strand of the barbed wire around the perimeter of the fence, and tomorrow morning our friend is going to come back and show us how to get this fence up, and he's going to help us with putting the fence on these posts. We're going to try out the crimping tool and get a little bit more experience with putting this all together. So it is the next day, my friends. We ended up postponing our fence building yesterday because of the wind. It was blowing dust and debris, and the wind gusts were probably upwards of 70 miles an hour yesterday, which was not the safest environment for stretching wire. So we did decide to go ahead and call it a day, and we are getting set back up this morning to continue working on the fence. And meanwhile, Josh and I are enjoying our quick breakfast, one of my favorite breakfasts. We are having chile relleno burritos, and these tortillas are to die for. They came from Ojinaga. You cannot beat authentic, fresh tortillas from Mexico. That's so good.
1, 2, 3, go. Okay. Perfect. Now, hold what you got.
Now, we said we were gonna get fencing up this weekend. We do have fencing up. Look at this. Beauty. Beautiful. Now, we don't have it completely done. We actually have about 1/6 of the fencing done. So, as things tend to do here at Reach and Reverie, always plan more work and longer time than you think you're gonna need, because things never go as expected. If plan A doesn't work, if plan B doesn't work, go with plan C and we'll get it done. So, we did have a good friend of ours who does fencing for a living. He came out and gave us some tutorials, some pointers, and showed us how to get this done. And it's probably going to take us the rest of the week to finish this, but I want to show you where we're at so far. So we started off, we have a strand of barbed wire on the very bottom so that things like hogs don't want to root up underneath. We'll end up clipping that to the fencing. But we also have, this is how we have it tied. We originally came in like we were gonna do with the barbed wire, where you wrap it around and you tie it off. But this fencing that we bought, it's high tensile, which means that it's a hardened metal and it can kind of be a little bit brittle. So that wasn't working, tying it off. So we ended up going and getting these crimps, and you wrap it around and you crimp the wire on instead of tying it like it's done down here. So Josh and our friend got this side tied off and this first length of fencing stretched for our garden. And we have it tied off down here. And now the next thing we're working on is this second run. And so we'll do 2 runs on the back side. We're gonna do this side, 2 runs on the front side, and then the last side. And we'll have to show you guys what it all looks like when we're done. But this is essentially what it looks like before we have it crimped, is you take the fence and you cut off all of these little squares and just have the long strands on the whole length of this fence. And then you're gonna wrap it around and you're gonna use this little crimp thing and you're going to crimp it on. And then we're using these come along tools to stretch the fence. And then we have these 2x6s where you sandwich the fencing material between the 2x6s and really stretch it out with these come alongs to get the tension on that fence for us to crimp it all together. So we haven't secured this side yet. We just have it essentially pinned with one little piece of wire just to hold it upright. And you can see how loose it is, but this is just in place to hold it upright while we get working on it, so it's easier to manage. And then starting here at this post, this side is done, this side's not. You can see how much more taut that is. This looks really good. I can't wait to have it done and have a big garden in the middle of this space instead of bare dirt. Looks incredible. The guys did such a good job. All right, we have the second half of this back one tied, and right now he is loosening these come-alongs that are holding these boards that pull it tight. So you do one a little bit and then the other one a little bit.
Bad.
That's not too bad.
Let's go and feel this here in a second.
Yeah. I like it. It is kind of cool how it pulled it tight. He's gonna take these boards off and we'll use those on the next section. And now we just have the other 3 sides. Not too bad. We are continuing on the fencing today. We have the entire back long side done, and we have this short side done. Josh this morning is working on the front long side. Right now he's cutting the edges of the fence so that he can clean the lines and start wrapping and crimping those. We're gonna walk down here and I'll show you what he's gonna be making that end of the fence look like. And we have learned that fencing is not for us. We don't enjoy this project. This is you can see the squares on the fence, and they would have continued on, but Josh has already cleaned this side. So he cut all of the vertical stays in between these rows to free up and loosen it, and then pulled off all of these ties. So he's gonna then wrap these individual strands around the fence, and then I'll show you what it looks like. This is a completed section, so he wraps the strands around and then comes back and uses this crimping tool to crimp the ends in place so that they don't come loose. It is now later in the day, and Josh has been working very hard on the fencing all day today. He was able to get this side affixed to the poles. He hasn't stretched it yet or tied it, but he got the ends cleaned and it's upright, ready to go tomorrow. We've also laid upright this fencing from this side as well, and he has the ends cleaned. And when I say the ends cleaned, we're looking at where he's removed the squares for a couple feet on either end, and we have it essentially tied up to where it's supporting itself here. So when he comes back tomorrow, he can crimp these on, stretch the fence, get the other side done, do the same thing over here, and we're gonna have this whole front end done. Then we're just gonna have one side left before we can call it good with stretching this 8-foot fencing to keep animals out of our garden. While Josh was working on the fencing today, I had a friend come over, and you guys will be seeing this video come out soon, where we built the structure for our new greenhouse that we're going to be using this season, and you guys do not want to miss that video. So don't forget to like this video and subscribe. That way you can stay up to date and you'll be able to see that video coming out soon. Just like that, my friends, is fencing in a nutshell. At least what we're doing here on our homestead. We went with this 8-foot deer fence for our garden to keep things like deer and hogs out. You guys got to see that we ran some barbed wire along the bottom. We are going to go back and clip those in place. We will plan on coming back with one layer of hardware cloth on the bottom, a couple feet to keep things like rabbits and snakes out. And then, of course, the final thing we have here to be done and have this place fully enclosed is to put in our gates. We have a gate on this side, another 10-foot gate on the opposite end, and then the 4-foot entry gate.